called Ignite. Just one person. So I'll put on the presentation. Through Ignite, we are planning to build a platform where we can connect them with the students third year on, but ISRO is not guaranteed. We're trying to build a way for a student project. First companies. With the placement cell, we will what you study in college. That you can learn from your coursework or vocationally apply for these jobs. This is how we will do. They will come back. That is the long-term plan. Now, I will not take more of your time. You just give a brief. From the third batch, that is 2000. Here I used to work in campus was actually right here in college. Now they are back here in our institute, and they will hear more from them. Then there is a big, a long question answer. Have any find your way in?
Here onwards, now when we see lot has changed, and proud there had two directors that came, and that should be there. We left quite some time, I think. But very happy, first of all, to see there in all 450 people. Before we jump the presentation, sure, before the poster came, before it was told to you that this uh, of the ecosystem batches who are currently sure is startups started by IIST. Lecture when Dr. Suresh. First batch campus. We are the experiment. Um, Coming back to how many people. The HR vertical. The gaps we identified batch till now that much itself, right? That very important to know. Basic by it to all the startups working in because this is a very your seniors very unique. So I don't the comparison part. Have that unique advantage. Important for all of us know what is happening and specifically have diverse Indian Jews all about commercial market. Celebration was on down to the government is also pushing startup. Startup. Earlier, the more focus was on that's why time.
So yeah, these are the key drivers. How many of you have seen this quote? I am very surprised if you have not heard or seen this quote. This was the first thing when we joined, which was told to us, and we read the whole book on Dr. Sarabhai. And that's where India is at a very unique juncture, because it started long back, 1969, where he brought the importance and like emphasized work with the government to bring space. He has a very unique vision, right? He was not into that race because at the same time, there was a race happening between two big nations, US and Russia, who will reach to the moon first, right? But he was very clear when he laid the foundation for a space sector in India that we are not competing with anyone here. We are here to solve the problems of the country, right? And for that, we want to be second to none. One of the greatest advantage which India has right now, based on this foundation, is that India is one of the best country in remote sensing data, right? The kind of payloads and sensors we have developed for remote sensing and wide application, you will not find in any other country, including those big countries. A lot of companies and countries have worked on communication, but India has focused on remote sensing because that solved our needs. So if you have heard about the EduSet, which was launched long back, there was a proper study on that, how it connected remote areas. There was an experiment done in MP and I think Maharashtra, where they connected professors and lecturers from bigger cities to remote village areas, right? Then medicine was one of the early 70s, 80s, they did a lot of experimentation with that. And this was the vision which Dr. Sarabhai had. for ISRO, and right till now ISRO is like fully built on this foundation. Same way goes for us, right? Now these are different ladders or different spectrum of where the satellite data or downstream data is going. Started from 1969, the question comes, are we able to build scalable impact, right? And I was having a conversation with Dr. Arvind in the morning from aerospace department, and we were talking about how you have to marry the technological development with business use cases. So if you see here, we have a lot of operators or a lot of players in the whole downstream sector, right? There is a satellite operator. There's data aggregator who aggregates data, very similar to Uber, who aggregates cabs, right? But they don't own the cabs. Then there are marketplaces, again, example like Uber, which has a lot of, or Amazon, which have a lot of vendors doing a lot of things there. Analytics provider who use that data and provide some analytics on the top of that, and then solution and application provider who build over that analytics ready data, ARD, what we call, and then provide some solutions, and then there's the end user. If you see this pyramid, you will see how the disconnect has been there from the satellite operator till the end user, right? From the satellite operators, the question, when we reached out to them as businesses, right? The idea is that, okay, you tell us where to point, we'll point the satellite and give you the data. Right? Not much depth of understanding of what data will be used for, what is the application of this data. Come down. And this is something which my father has asked me, right? Can you identify where, who is walking on the road through satellites? So in the last second line, if you see, can you find my car keys using satellite images? Unfortunately, the science fiction movies have like shown things like that. You just click on satellite and you are able to zoom and see the person moving and identify who is the culprit, right? Setting very wrong expectation. And this also comes when we talk about business cases, right? So there is a lot of disconnect, lot of gap which has to be built, right? And for any entrepreneurial journey or any business use case, what we do is that we identify those problems and then start solving those problems, right? So lot of potential here because we see a lot of gaps here. And this is where SatSure comes into picture, right? This is where our journey started. These are the four people, the top two, Prateep and Rashmit, first batch of IIST. Prateep worked in Sriharikota from aerospace engineering. Rashmit was from remote sensing at that time, like right now I think engineering physics as it is called. Worked in IRS, went to Canada, and they, along with one of our third co-founder Abhishek, who is not from IIST but a good friend of both of them, they started SatSure to bridge this gap. We have a very good story how Prateep came about this idea of establishing SatSure is that when he was traveling in a cab. At that time, Uber came to India. Uber came to India in 2014, and this was 2015-16 when so Prateep went to ITU in France, and then came back working for a consulting company. And then he was taking a cab one of the days, and he was just chatting with the driver. And the driver was a farmer who has left his farming and everything and came and started driving while he has a very good patch of land. And Prateep realized that there are certain fundamental challenges. In India, agriculture is the major provider of livelihood, right, for more than 50% of the people, but it contributes very less to the GDP. And that's where the gap was identified, and he started working on how we can leverage the satellite data there. That's where SatSure started coming in. 3 years back, while we started building downstream sector, we realized that we also need to own the data. Otherwise, it becomes difficult to get data of the quality what we want, and also which solves the business problems which we are attacking, right? And then came KaleidEO. So we have Akash, who is with me today, and Arpan. They are from third batch of IIST, my classmates, both from aerospace engineering. Akash, as Mustafa has introduced, worked in VSSC, went to Surrey, came back to VSSC, then he joined SatSure. Arpan was working in URSC, mechanical systems area, then went to US, Colorado, did his masters, came back to India and started working and building the KaleidEO vertical. KaleidEO is wholly owned subsidiary of SatSure, which is focusing on building satellites, right? And Akash will talk more about it. We are right now 150 people, and we are very proud to tell that 10% of this is 15 people are from IIST. Apart from these 4 people, there are 11 other people, including me, who are from IIST from different batches. We have people from batch of, and when I say batch, the graduating year is 2011, 13, then there is 17, 18, 20, and recently also we are talking to people and hiring for our specific use cases. Overall, 150 people. KaleidEO has 14 core members, and a lot of new people are joining us. So we are trying, by this combination of SatSure and KaleidEO, we are trying to bridge the upstream and the downstream gap, the gap which we are talking about in that pyramid, right? There is data origin, where KaleidEO comes into picture, where they are solving the problem. There is a data refinery. So SatSure has 3 different business units. One is called SatSure Sparta, which creates that platform to utilize the geospatial data, the remote sensing image data, analytics ready data, and building applications over that. And then there are data solutions, which is Sage, Skies and Sage, SatSure Skies and Sage. Get a little bit detail into that. Skies is for infrastructure monitoring, and Sage is for farm credit management. I'll tell some small use cases in the next slide. This is how the overall spread of SatSure looks like. Sparta focuses on agriculture, right? Agribusinesses, seeds, chemical industry, commodities, insurance, FMCG. They need a lot of data on what is being produced where and at what time to meet their supply chain requirements, and that's where SatSure Sage Sparta comes into picture to provide that platform where we have API ready data which can be pulled by different companies built over the satellite images. Skies is infrastructure. One of the most successful use cases is working with Airport Authority of India. We have worked with them in infrastructure monitoring. We have also worked with certain other clients like Adani and other companies in route optimization for their high tension lines and urban management. Then we have SatSure Sage, which works in BFSI. Anybody here knows the full form of BFSI? Banking and Financial System Institutes. Banks, NBFCs, MFIs into agri lending and government. So very simple use case. How many of you have heard about Kisan Credit Card, KCC? This most of the people have heard. People have not heard about geospatial policy and SatSure. Very nice. Anyway, so KCC in India, RBI has a policy which is a policy of PSL, which is priority sector lending, where it is mandated by RBI that all the banks have to have their 20% portfolio into agriculture, and that's how the KCC come into picture, that they have to give this KCC loan to farmers because agriculture dependent country, right? The challenge which banks face is that how do we know that what the farmer is growing? If they have to do every time land survey and go physically, it becomes very, and they have to also provide at a very minimal interest rate. The KCC interest rate for SBI is 4%. You will not get a personal loan or any other loan, even education loan, car loan at 4%. Right? So they have to optimize the cost there. And what satellites or what SatSure Sage is doing here is that analyzing the images not only of the current year but past 3 to 4 years, getting the data which crop is grown, what is the irrigation condition there, right? What was the sowing time, what is the predictable harvest time, and using all those parameters and creating a report which helps bank to see that if this farmer can be given a loan and what are the basic things which he is declaring in his form, are those things true. So they save a lot of time. It helps them, and it is also creating a financial inclusive environment for the farmers also, where they are able to access credit. You would have heard a lot of news of farmers committing suicide, right? Because they have a lot of loans which they have not taken from banks. They have taken from local money lenders who charges interest from anywhere ranging from 20% to 30% per annum. Right? Compare this to a 4% to 8% given by a bank. But bank do not have the data where they can ensure that this does not go into an NPA, non-performing asset. So Sage tries to bridge that gap. And then KaleidEO, where we are talking with defense, civilian government, space agencies and satellite operators and bridging that gap with them. This is KaleidEO. For this segment, I'll invite Akash to take you through this.
Hi guys. So first of all, I'll not ask questions to any one of you, like if you've heard about this or that, that's totally fine. And I'll not talk for more than 5 minutes because it's just after lunch. I don't want people to fall asleep. But yeah, really, while Parth has talked a lot about, say, applications and overall how SatSure began and what SatSure does, I'll talk more about KaleidEO. Like, I mean, that is how I came or how I started my association with SatSure. this was in March 21 when Prateek was like, yeah, we need to have our own source of high resolution Earth observation data because there are a lot of business challenges in getting data from different high resolution satellites commercially. And why not have our own source of data? And also the fact that data is one of the core strategic part of our business model itself. So we should have some in-house data, and that is how the journey started. And fortunately, I was doing my PhD in optical payloads, which I've currently put on a break and started working towards this goal. And yeah, like Arpan, my classmate, he joined in the journey, and we started. So after, I think we did a trade-off for almost, I think the first 8 months, there was not much progress because of the third wave of COVID. But after that, like we did pretty much good trade-off, both business, tech, and product, and finally came down to specs, like what we need to focus on and why we need to do, or what are the things that we will be building, right? And we narrowed down to saying that we'll only focus on the Earth observation payload, high resolution payload, and not on the satellite. So yeah, Parth, we are not building satellite. So we, considering the fact that we understand how different applications are derived using Earth observation data, we understand what are the challenges in using the data itself. And so how do we actually generate data which is directly useful for developing applications, specifically in infrastructure and utility segment, where you need resolution of around say 1 meter. Yeah, like you can check up about resolution, what it means. I'm pretty sure like people taking remote sensing would understand that. So the mission that we have come up is with 4 satellites and building a payload with a resolution of around 1.2 meters raw GST and having a high swath of 65 kilometers. We'll be able to get a decent amount of revisit and coverage, which will satisfy our business case as well as have some extra capacity for other commercial uses as well. So the unique thing here is on the payload is the high resolution and high swath, because most of the payloads that you see currently having resolution of 1 meter have a swath of around 10 to 12 kilometers or up to 25 kilometers maximum. So this is okay, like we have built a scaled down version of the payload, and this payload is actually built in the UK while we have done the system engineering and design with the team here. I mean, in fact, that is what I want to highlight. Like, I mean, it is just with a team of 4 engineers. We have kind of derived the requirements and designed and say work with multiple vendors to make sure that we realize this payload. So it's all about how do we get more things done with less amount of resources, like in this initial journey. Right? So this video, yeah, it's I should warn you that it's a marketing video, so it has some good effects, I would say. So yeah, you can just listen to it. I don't know if it plays. Very soon we'll be conducting an aircraft test for the scaled down version of the camera. This end-to-end connection from the source of the data till the end user that we are enabling by the combination of. Hi, I'm Akash. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at KaleidEO, subsidiary of SatSure. At KaleidEO, we are building the next generation Earth observation. There's a high resolution, high swath camera, which will be going on a fleet of 4 satellites in early 2026. This will allow us to capture large amount of data with just 4 satellites, and the data which will be going on to build solutions via SatSure in the sectors of agriculture, utilities, manufacturing through our own Earth observation. Today we are here at MLM Sketch and our partners of we are a partner in building Earth observation camera specifically for the aerial test. So what we are doing is we have built a scaled down version of the camera that is on satellites. This test equipment will be put on an aircraft. We'll be testing out different modes of operation, understand what are the challenges building such kind of camera, troubleshoot, learn from operating the camera, and implement all those learning for final light or the camera that will be going on to the satellite. I'm very excited about the future of both SatSure and KaleidEO. Together, we look forward to building a successful full-stack Earth observation company where we will have our own source of data, the data which will be processed and for our end users to help solve tomorrow's challenges. Yeah, I think that kind of reduced my effort in talking more. But yeah, like one of the latest achievement that we did was in last year, September. We were one of the first companies based out of India to demonstrate onboard data processing. This has various different, I would say, applications and use cases. Primarily being we reduce the amount of data that we downlink to Earth, so it reduces the cost, amount of time it takes to build the further data products. So we had collaboration with a couple of companies, like a different company had their satellite with camera and another company had their compute system on that satellite. We just we built the data processing algorithms, deployed on that and ran. I mean, in fact, we deployed like a couple of algorithms, out of which one worked, one did not work. So this is the application which is on the road network identification. So this has further applications. So these kind of iterations help us towards reaching our end goal of having our own fleet with onboard processing. So yeah, like I mean, I think this map is slightly old, I would say. This shows the customer base of SatSure. Because SatSure is now more than 6 years old. We have customers across now in India, Brazil, I think even in South America and in the US. We are no longer in Russia, if I'm correct, but we do have some presence in Africa as well as Southeast Asia as well. And we, at least in India, we think that, okay, when we talk about Earth observation, we do come up one of the top companies out there, and hopefully we do good and create more impact when we have access to our own source of data. So this was actually the inauguration of our office. In fact, I was not there during this inauguration, so I'm a bit jealous with Parth and others. So we had Dr. B.N. Suresh sir inaugurate our office along with Chairman B.N. Suresh is one of our, I would say, has been supporting Pradeep and initial founding team since a lot, and Dadwal sir coming in with his agricultural remote sensing experience. He has always been one of the torchbearer for SatSure. So there is very strong connect, at least from that point of view, where between IIST and our company. We are pretty much, I would say, like a reasonably large team, around 150 people, like what Parth mentioned. In fact, Parth is the person who came in and started the processes of, we need to have set processes for certain things, like how teams should be managed, how, say, leaves should be handled, etc. I think we are doing good, and we'll be going forward with KaleidEO together with SatSure to create like a full-scale Earth observation company, starting from, say, having our own source of data till the end, that is generating solutions to create positive. This is it. I think Parth, you want to talk about career opportunities and how things work? Yeah, thanks guys. In fact, we'll be available here for question answers just after the session. So
yeah, so this is our link. Just wanted to bring your attention here because we get a lot of queries from different IIST students as well as alumni. We have a lot of openings there. The thing is that we are at a growth stage right now. And one of the things which we are looking at this moment, and this keeps on changing month on month, is some kind of experience, right? So an experience does not mean only like you have worked in a company, but if you have done some very interesting projects, internships, that counts as experience for us. We have a talent acquisition team to whom I have instructed very clearly that if any applications come, and in the application you mention specifically that you are an IIST student or alumni, those applications are prioritized when we look for roles or for candidates, right? Trust me, we have applications for one openings which ranges from 100 to 700. For one of the roles we receive 700 applications. So we want to make sure that since all of us, including Prateep, myself, Akash, Rashmit, we have learned our foundation from IIST, and whatever support we can provide to our alma mater in any way. This is one of those small things which we could do for all of you. We have also some collaboration with going on with Dr. Ramarao also in some of the geospatial data analytics part, where we are working very closely with some PhD students from IIST. And we also keep on opening for internship roles. So you can always get in touch with us or the team. So yeah, this is all from our side. Akash and I have good amount of time for any questions, anything you would like to know about SatSure or in general about the space ecosystem, anything, questions you have. Yeah, please, sir.
It's kind of like, some ideas coming to mind. Like you said, a lot of area, like this disconnect between the space technology and this all lot of economic activities. Well, after that idea, what kind of factors influences translate into some kind of business implement? Because many students ask this question, like, they have some ideas. How to start a business? Business is not only about idea.
Definitely.
The other things also, like marketing, finance, many other things. If you can, I don't know whether you are able to do that, but just like I am also instance can do this.
So one of the things which we have seen over the course of the period, Akash had, the idea should ideally be a solution to a problem. So the first step is identifying the problem, right? What is the problem you are trying to solve? This is one thing which we have seen across, and we have also done ourselves in SatSure and KaleidEO in the initial phases, that we reach to the solution before understanding what the problem is. Right? So if you identify the problem clearly, this is the gap, this is the problem, then it becomes easier to understand what could be the solution. And it requires brainstorming, it requires some kind of a customer survey. You talk to the people who are facing these problems. It could be businesses, it could be customers, right? Direct individual customers. A very simple example would be if you are launching a new soap brand. Right? What is the problem you are trying to solve? If you launch a similar soap brand which is already available, very difficult to sustain in the market, and that is the reason you will see a lot of startups also failing. So the first and the foremost step is to understand and identify the problem clearly, then approach the solution. And sir, regarding finance, like finance, marketing, HR, all those things start adding slowly and slowly once the problem is clearly identified. And that is one of the things when we go into a meeting internally, also brainstorming, the focus is ultimately on what is the problem we are trying to solve here. If you know the problem, then solution becomes easier. At least you know the process to reach to the solution. Then it becomes easier with time. But it is lot iterative, unlike shown in movies or in news articles that some company became a unicorn in a year or 2 year or 3 year. It requires a lot of effort and iteration. When you go, you will do some mistakes, you learn from that, you go back again. It's a long process, but yeah, there is some method to this madness also. Akash.
I guess Parth has covered pretty much. I think one of the important thing is the team, right? The people whom you start working with, like the initial team that you're building, be it your friends or your connects from someone outside. So that I think team is everything in the initial days. Like nothing depends, nothing much would depend on say outside external factors. Apart from that, of course, like these days there are a lot of support systems available out there, be it in terms of accelerators or incubation centers or like I mean people who you can approach. Like even in IIST, I heard that there is an incubation center, so that is there, and your connects or network that you establish with someone who has already done that, right? I mean, if you approach anyone like us or say or anyone, yes, like of course you can come and talk. Like how did you even go about it? So you understand the journey, like what Parth was talking about, like number of iterations, how do you go about number of pivots. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Right now, it is mainly includes like designing the payload and processing the data which you obtain from those. Are you looking to like broaden your horizons and designing the satellites?
So I would say not at the moment, because in fact getting into the upstream sector itself, to taking that decision of like we should have our own source of data, and towards that, okay, like we'll build a like design our own payloads. That itself is like we have slightly broadened, right? Building a satellite, the reason was multiple factors. Like one, there are a lot of different companies out there in the world who provide satellite as a service. Second, to build a satellite, you require a huge capex investment. Like, I mean, there's a lot of money involved even to build the facility. For the payload, of course, it doesn't require that much when you talk about that. So at the moment, no. Maybe in the future, who knows? Like, we might expand even further. Yeah. I guess someone had a question here. Yeah.
I am Shruti Badonia. So, like we understood, like how SatSure started and what they are doing now. Like, can you give us an idea of where is SatSure heading to? Maybe 5 to 6 down the lane, 9 to 10 years down the lane. Where is it heading to?
So this, I think I had asked this very question to Prateek 3 years back before I joined. And he was not able to even give a straight answer at that point of time. But after discussing and debating, like 10 years down the line, we want to see, like this, I'm giving an example. Hopefully, there will be a scenario where a bank manager in a rural part of India is about to decide whether I need to disburse the loan to this particular farmer, right? The bank manager should be able to just go ahead and enter into his system saying that this is the location of the farm, the ID of the farm, and within, like, say, he should get a feedback within like few minutes that yes, like he can take a decision of disbursing the loan, right? I mean, if we are able to reach that level, I think that is one of the best goal, like where it is driven by application based and how we optimize the applications and making sure the end users experience is improved and their lives get better. So I would say, like, put together like SatSure plus KaleidEO, developing applications in multiple areas, not just agriculture, infra, utilities, because Earth observation is gaining traction only in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years. Otherwise, the whole industry of space industry, if you see, SATCOM is the which is dominating the entire space industry. But considering that a lot of outside people, like we want more sociologists, environmental scientists working in and trying to understand how to leverage data from space. So it is just left to imagination, like, I mean, what we can do in the future.
Just to add a context about what Akash mentioned. So a KCC loan usually takes from 21 days to 45 days from the point a farmer applies, right? And if you see, India has 2 major cycles, Rabi and Kharif, right? They don't have this much time to wait for the loan to be get. So that's why the importance of time is required. Whereas a personal loan, if you have seen those messages coming to you or your friends or your parents, that just click on the link and you will get a loan in 30 minutes. Very easy to get a personal loan for a salaried person. Very difficult to get a loan for a farmer in India. And that's where we are trying to bridge the gap using satellite technology.
Yeah, yes.
Also, by the way, a wonderful presentation. Both of you gave a very nice comprehensive overview of your company. So this latest National Space Policy 2023. So in the newspapers, in the print media, and digital media, we keep hearing summary notes about the space policy opening up Indian space sector, all the end-to-end activities is now accessible for non-governmental entities. So I have not read the report, I just read the reports of the report. So in light of this national space policy, how do you think a company like yours is going to leverage on the kind of freedom that this would be rolled out by the state agency?
Right. So, sir, I think when SatSure started, it was not established in India. The headquarters was registered in Switzerland, and one of the main reasons was there was no policy in India. So when there is no policy, it is seen as a risk from investor point of view, like where it can go, like what happened with say crypto industry, right? There was no policy, and suddenly the RBI came and they brought in the regulations, I would say. So having a good policy ecosystem actually matters to us. So now, once the policy is now released and there is good amount of push from the government, that has given us some confidence. So we have now moved headquarters to Bangalore. So now we are a proper Indian Bangalore registered company. Apart from that, I would say you mentioned about NGs, like non-governmental entities like us having access to ISRO facilities. Yes, we have not, I mean personally we have not approached ISRO yet in that regard, but we have had conversation with other companies who have used facilities of ISRO. It is still, I would say, in early phase to say how it is going, because there are some challenges at the moment. I mean, there are like, I would say at a field level, like logistical challenges. While the policy is very progressive, but the way it is implemented, it is yet to be streamlined a little bit, I would say. So I think ISRO has always had technology transfer open. Like ISRO offers TOT to private companies, and even before this policy was there, there was, I think, I'm pretty sure like there's technology transfer. In fact, Mustafa, he works in technology transfer cell for VSSC here. So even now, I guess like it was last year when ISRO announced a small satellite bus, IMS 100. Open for companies to come and get the technology so that they can mass produce if required. So that is already there. I think there are a couple of questions here.
Sir, I have two questions. First is, since you're dealing with space data, do you see any possibility for venturing into areas like space situation awareness?
Interesting question, because we did, I mean, it was not because of space data. We had insurance product earlier, like, I mean, because we used, we developed few products to help insurance companies understand what is the damage before the event and after the event for insurance disbursement. And there was an interesting project we did. In fact, Satvik, one of the second batch, he worked with us on that project, where we tried to understand how do we make in-orbit insurance act as an imperative for better space operations, right? So towards that, we analyzed space situational awareness. I mean, when I say SSA data, basically use data from space track the TLEs and understand what are the number of collisions, like what number of maneuvers that happen on a day-to-day basis. So that is something which we have done, but currently, as of now, that is not one of our main focus. It is still in a very exploratory stage, I would say.
And the second is, what is the scope for an aerospace engineer in your company?
Well, I think he's an aerospace engineer. I'm an aerospace engineer. Like there are few alumni here. Ankita, yeah, Mustafa is an aerospace engineer. Ankita is an aerospace engineer. Oh, Mustafa is avionics. So I confused Mustafa.
So aerospace people have this tendency of believing everybody is doing aerospace.
So aerospace.
At least to start with.
No. What I want to tell is, if you want to stick to the space industry, there are different types of opportunities that you can do. And in our company, as an aerospace engineer, I would say like say a systems engineer role, where you will have to understand different systems and different systems coming together, and how do they operate together to deliver the final outcome, right? So there, either an aerospace or an avionics engineer are like a good fit. Then we have actually a 2021 graduate, right? Kavya. So 2021, yeah. So we have one of the 2021 graduate from IIST Aerospace. She did not get a job in ISRO, but she came to us with an internship. She did her intern in mission design, and in fact, she's leading the mission design team in our company. Like, she developed the entire, I would say, algorithms from scratch. In fact, like, one of our advisors from ISRO, like, he was saying that this is something that they were trying to do in Cartosat mission back in 2007, which she was able to do within 1 year. So, yeah.
So I'll add a couple of things apart from SatSure itself, right? One thing, and this is very practical answer, I'll give you a philosophical view. It's coming from HR, right? One thing which we mistake while we are doing our undergrad or postgrad is getting into a very specialized zone, right? It was happened in our batch. Professor Yashpal, then who was UGC chairman, who came, he also gave the same advice. Dr. Suresh also gave the same advice. So don't get into that thinking, no, in aerospace also I am a propulsion, so I want to get into propulsion. BTech is not the time for that, right? So there is a vast area to be developed. Also, since in IIST you have those opportunities of exploring interdisciplinary courses through electives, right? Or even if they are not electives, I'm pretty sure the faculties will be more than happy to interact with you and give some guidance. Do that. Don't get it's aerospace, I don't need to learn this aspect, that aspect, because there is a lot of connecting dots which we forget in BTech. Apart from SatSure also, aerospace, since we have now launch vehicle, when we graduated, there was no launch vehicle company other than ISRO, right? We have Agnikul, Skyroot, those companies also coming up, Digantara also working on satellite. So opportunities are a lot. Utilize your internships, which is a mandatory internship after 6th semester, but you have gaps during every semester. If you approach any of these companies, including us, with really good intent, there are good opportunities. You may get some exposure and understanding. So explore different things practically, apart from theoretical learning which you are doing in college, and this will give you a lot of views on what could work for you, what will not work for you. But at this moment, and this was a conversation we all aerospace graduates used to have, that in India at that time there were not many opportunities, but a lot of opportunities for avionics folks because they can move to electronics and communication. But I think now the field is almost equal and there are enough opportunities for aerospace engineers also.
Just want to highlight that one of our friend who did avionics, he worked here in MVIT for I think 5 or 6 years. Now he is a game designer. So he did his, he went to National Institute of Design. He studied digital game design because that was his passion, which I think he discovered after 4 years of undergrad. He's currently sitting in London and designing games. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Working space and organizing solution. We are developing new projects, especially for
A very interesting question. I was not expecting this question in this forum, but this is something every company has this challenge and different companies try to solve it differently. My 2 cents of advice here would be, since your co-founders, make sure that hiring when you are hiring anybody from an intern, from a full-time, till a full-time employee, make sure you guys are really involved in the process, right? Don't offload this process to anyone else, because culture is defined by what you are expecting, right? One of the key things which in HR community we talk a lot, implement a little, is don't go for like deep technical knowledge. Definitely there should be an intention to learn and there should be a mindset of problem solving and curiosity. But if we are looking for a very perfect candidate, we start somewhere compromising with the cultural aspects, right? If there is openness to learn, And this can be evaluated through various ways, right? You can have behavioral interviews, you can have case studies where maybe a small problem you are solving, part of that can be given to a candidate, ask them how they are planning to solve. Evaluating how their approach of collaborating with other people have been, right? In interviews where we have freshers who apply, because experienced people, they work in industry, they have a lot of these experiences of disagreement, fighting, like not agreeing with proposal. In college, we usually get confused there how to ask these questions. And then one of the greatest places for us is, have you, because every college student would have done some project with a team of 3-4 people, right? What was your role in that? Have you participated in any of the events where you're coordinator? And we all have like, and people who have worked in Conscientia Dhanak here will understand it's not an easy thing, right? Because there is no hierarchy. We all are from the same college, same batch. Why should I listen to you? Then how you're able to influence people? If founders are deeply involved in the process initially, that sets the tone, right? So there is this example we used to give in ISRO. When we joined, we did not have a culture of having tea at 10:30 and at 3 o'clock. We saw everybody around going. We started going with them, right? So nobody told us, there was no memo that, okay, you have to go for tea. We saw everybody is going, okay, they have to join. That's how culture revolves. Very interesting study done in IIM Ahmedabad talks about stories also, right? How you communicate the development phase, which they would have not seen because they have not joined the company. But what are the stories you are creating? Those stories live. Organizations are based on those, nations are built on those stories, not only organizations. How you are creating those stories and how they are communicated across, that plays a major role in how culture is built and spread across. But it's a lot of trial error, very easy to say. We are still doing a lot of work to work on those aspects. But founders' involvement is the key. If they are not involved, then it becomes very difficult, and you will see within 10-20 employees also it's getting spread out and very diverse mindset of people coming in.
The legislative area and some people maybe through analysis of difficult because we have and also say what are the but from that so your experience how you have hired and how they behave this event. How you manage those things?
So see, all of us here, including Akash, me, the person who has made the presentation, Sarvesh, Arpan, we were hired by Pradeep. He knew us from the college, right? We worked with him in Fest, supported as volunteers. So there was this connect, and then you have a relationship built, right? So you trust that person's vision, and then you join. We all have taken salary cut when we joined SatSure, whatever we're getting in our role in ISRO, because we believed in the person, because we have seen that. So the close network is your first point to go to hire people. So that is very important. Also, if the person is over-indexing on money at a very early stage, then also you get an idea that he may not be a culture fit, right? Because after 6 months also he will come back and tell, I need more money. So they should buy your vision, right? They should have a buy-in into the vision of what you are trying to build, how it is going to solve problem. One thing which I have seen in young people who are joining the workforce is they want to feel what impact they will create by creating this product or service or company. If you are able to translate that properly, usually you will get good enough people who want to really work hard in the initial stage, because that experience is unparalleled. Building something from the scratch, you cannot compare it with a money component very clear. What you wanted to add?
I mean, I think same thing. Like, I guess like you need to find people who are mission aligned. What is your mission, and are the people aligned with your mission? And yeah, like have a honest chat with them. Like, why do they want to join you? And like even at KaleidEO, whomever we have hired, it is not like we look at them. Okay, they will stay with us at least for 2 years or 3 years. But fortunately, like yes, they have stayed with us. So I think it all depends upon how you judge a person, like based on your mission and alignment.
but we'll take this question and then come back to you. Yeah.
I just wanted to actually you said like data, downstream data, right? And since this is the age of data, and since I think space was the foremost started using machine learning in the science. Now, CCS, other applications.
Yeah, of course. Like many of our models are backed with machine learning based models. And like to be honest, like I'm not a data background person. Like so, I understand really well on what the application and what kind of data will be used for what purposes. But when it comes to ML and AI, what I do know is the road network algorithm that was developed. That is a ML based algorithm itself, which was deployed and it was run on a GPU itself. So the evolution of ML and AI and the fact of having access to cloud infrastructure so easily, which was not available, say, 15 years back, right? That has actually changed how we use the data and how quickly we can leverage the data that we have. So, of course, yeah, ML and AI is one of the important part of our team, and we have a like if you talk about SatSure out of 150 people, data science team has what 30?
30.
Yes, around 30 people are data science and they work with data. So yeah. Yeah, so come on over. You can always send in your application. Like you can send to Parth directly.
Is there
Yeah, I mean, so one like Parth mentioned, the best way is to explore for internship opportunities. In fact, if I understand, like 2 or 3 people are doing internships with us already. So like that will also help you understand what we are doing and whether what we are doing interests you, and also will help us assess, okay, like whether you are actually a very good fit for what we are doing, right? It works both ways. So like Parth mentioned, internship is the first best step towards this.
My doubt is like some of the master students will be working for 1 year as a something niche area. Maybe that area won't be ready for a market which is going on currently, or it will be industry fundamentals. But they don't have the prior experience or experience. They have this 1 year experience, they are doing this fundamental study work. So how do companies like how you guys would be judging that candidate based upon this work? Because he has not worked on the application stuff or in system engineering.
Right. No, I mean, even if you're doing research in a niche area, which is say fundamental research, you can always look into the parallels or the parallel skill sets that you're developing, right? So in the research, you might have developed very good coding skill set, be it in R or Python or whatever it is. So of course, like, yeah, and if you have worked with data, you can always work as a data scientist, what he was talking about. So many of our data scientists in our company who have joined, they have never worked with Earth observation data before. Very few people have worked with remote sensing data. There are some statisticians who are in our team. Okay, so I don't think that should stop you in looking out in parallel domains. What are the different use cases and what are the different opportunities? There's always something out there if you try to look.
Also, there is an element of transferable skills, right? So in general, how do you approach a problem, right? What kind of skills, as you mentioned about, say, you know how to code. You would have done coding on a very different type of thing, but you know how to build those algorithms properly. Those are very easy to transfer skills if you know how to build a model, right? Now, while evaluating candidate, one thing which all the hiring managers or the recruiters see is, for that particular role, how would you approach a problem, right? You may not be able to solve it, and that's what we are hiring you, and we will have that thing going together. But do you have that attitude, right? So those transferable skills come into picture. As you grow more into career, you will see very dynamic shifts from one, and you will see a lot of the senior folks, right? Some of the people doing something else and then start doing something else. So it's all about what kind of transferable skills you are building. Those could be some hard skills, those could be also soft skills. So that helps. So it does not depend that you have worked on a sector or in a research area which is not yet prime for business, but do you have the approach or attitude how a problem is solved or how a problem is tackled or analyzed. Those come into picture when you start interviewing, and that is how you should also position when you're applying, right? You should not come, I have not worked in the sector, will you take me? I have worked on this thing, this is how I've solved the problem. I can solve the problems which you guys are facing. Then the conversation becomes interesting between the recruiter and the candidate. And it helps in converting those conversations into job.
Of skills out in a what kind of evaluation for anything stand out which would be
the best way to approach any job application is to see the JD, the job description which is given, right? You'll come to know what people are looking for. What mistake people do is that, and this is something which happens with all young people, we all have done, but this is advice I give to everyone, because senior people who have been in the industry for 5-10 years, they are very matured in understanding this. It's not only you looking for a job, right? Or you just want to get a job. It's also about you selecting the right company. Otherwise, within 2-3 months or 6 months, you will start feeling ki yaar, kahan pe phas gaya? Which company is this, right? So first of all, understand the JD properly and then see what kind of work you have done. This is when you are applying for a job. Coming to Mustafa's point, while you are in the college, right, I would not advise to over-index on what is hot in the market. By the time you graduate, it will not be hot in the market, right? Fintech or crypto, as Akash was mentioning, was very hot 2-3 years back. Everybody wanted to understand what is blockchain. By this time, you see how many startups are there working on blockchain, right? Or in crypto. So don't over-index on the part of, okay, this is hot in the market, I should do that. What interests you, because that will keep you longer sustainable in any company you are joining. So those kind of projects, if you have done, identified the problem and solved it, coming back to the resume is what to mention, right? One common mistake is writing very fluffy statement. I have completed a project on this, right? Basic fundamental check is if somebody reads that question and asks you, so what? Are you able to answer that question, right? Okay, you have done this project, so what? Have you created or maybe done some innovation there? Have you completed in a time which was not done earlier, right? Have you saved some, or you can optimize the process? Those are the things people look for, right? So there has to be a data element which gives understanding of comparison. Otherwise, it's become very fluffy that, yeah, I have done this, I have done that, I have done 4 projects on this e-transfer or 5 projects on propulsion. But what fundamental problems you have solved? And this is very easy. He was talking about AI/ML, right? If you start using ChatGPT, you will understand what the JD is really asking for. If you have good recruiters, they will help you to understand what the company is looking for. And then you are able to put, and every company, you may have to change your resume. It's not one resume built and then sent to 100 companies. If you don't customize it based on what the company is looking for, you have to do a lot of research on what company is actually doing. And this kind of sessions are the place you can know what they are doing, how they are doing, knowing the key people, reaching out to them, then customizing your resume based on that and then sending. I think we can have a bigger session on how to craft your resume separately, but these are some of the tips which I can give. You have a question?
Sir, I want to ask, like, what kind of sensors you are like making, multispectral or hyperspectral?
Yeah, I think I missed focusing on that. We are building a multispectral payload. It's a visible NIR and red edge. So totally 6 bands, including PAN. So yeah.
Like we don't have the destination abilities more in hyperspectral. So why it is like difficult and what are the challenges of building hyperspectral?
Of course, there are. First, I would answer like why we are building multispectral, because one, most of the applications that we build in-house, most of the solutions out there, we think around 80% of those solutions can be built using multispectral data. So, which was one of the reasons why we went. And hyperspectral data, like only now people are understanding how to use and it is very, I would say, at least from what I know, it is difficult to actually interpret and process the hyperspectral data itself. And when you talk about the hyperspectral sensors, right, getting the resolution that you want. In fact, there are startups like, say, I'm pretty sure like you would have heard about Pixel. There is UA Space. There are different companies in Canada as well as in the US who are working on hyperspectral imaging. One of the main challenge is getting the data down. Like you generate large volume of data. If you're imaging in multiple bands at the same time, then you're generating a lot of amount of data. So from upstream point of view, that is one of the major challenge I would say. I need to see if there are any other challenges from actually say optical design point of view or even the detectors, etc. But this is one thing that I can tell you right now. I think we should end.
Any last question? I'll take the final question and then we'll close. We will be available after this. We don't want to keep everyone waiting.
Good evening, sir. My name is Shaijumon. I just want to ask a question with respect to placements. So does SatSure use the applicant tracking system for shortlisting candidates, or they shortlist candidates manually? Shortlist the resumes.
So it depends on how many applications we get for a role, right? We have an application tracking system. Most of the time we select, like we have team who selects first, manually sees the resume. But if we have received an application, suppose for a role 100 applications, we'll not go with all 100 applications, right? We'll see the first time. If we see 5 are good, they go into the next round. If we see that, okay, there's 5 really good potential, then maybe we'll close the role. We'll not see the other 90, right? Because it becomes very cumbersome. We don't do right now using AI or ML kind of a thing, okay, where we look for keywords and then select those candidates. This is not what we are doing right now. That's why I mentioned that if you are applying and if you specifically mention IIST, that you are a IIST student, we will not be able to capture from your resume. That's why I said specifically mentioned, we'll prioritize those applications for review. We will not be able to promise that you will get a job, but definitely your application will be reviewed on priority. No. So we are not at that scale we are not a Google, Microsoft to apply and let's look for keywords and then finalize. Thank you, Shubham. Okay, thank you everyone for your time. I hope the session was interesting for you, as for me at least, and for Akash, I know we found it really interesting and engaging. Really good questions from all of you. I hope it helps you to understand what we are doing and also what you would like to do in your career and have some inputs in building that path for yourself. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Parth and Akash, and thank you to all the people who joined us. I would request all of you if you can just spare 1 minute and give a feedback. It's just 2 questions, and you can let us know which company we should bring in for the next one. I would especially like to thank Shaijumon sir, who helped us arrange all the logistics for conducting this on site, and I would also invite him to say a few words, and then we will close. Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa. Yeah, actually, it's very interesting. It was very interesting session. It was very interesting initiative, very useful initiative for the students of IIST. IIST Alumni Association started this Ignite event. A lot of other activities also they are planning right now for the IIST students. We really want alumni to get involved in almost all activities of IIST. Definitely they will be continuously involving. As you are aware that they made a very good point, like there is a whole lot of disconnect between the space technology and space economy for business. Lot of chances are there, lot of opportunities are there in this sector if you know actual problems of these sectors, like problem like how we can solve the problems for the country. So that's what they said. I think you need certain kind of skill sets for get into such kind of companies. I think I was requesting them also to conduct a session on this resume writing and such things, because recently I got a chance to visit one of the space startups of IIST alumni in Ahmedabad. So he was saying that he interviewed some people and he was not happy with the students. So then we wanted to understand, like, what kind of skills they need or the companies are looking for. This rightly Parth was mentioning about, there is a tendency like they're sending the same resume to everyone. It's like they just prepare one resume and sending to everyone. So instead, like, you have to have certain, because earlier on foreigner came and visited here. She was talking about, how to write a resume for the foreign countries. In fact, even technologically also there are some limited numbers are there, but still you can have some technical things are there. Some words you arrange in different way, project in different way, then that will attract, that will actually attract them, or like, selection through some machines and all, it's going on right now. So similar things. So Indian economy is growing. I'm not talking in terms of economics or anything. As they said, right now the space economy is about $8.4 billion in India, but the global space economy is something around $450, $500 billion. So we are not even contributing 1.5% of the global space economy. But we are actually aspiring to become something like, $40 billion worth of economy by 2030. In space economy I'm talking about. At that time, it is expected that the global space economy will reach 1 trillion. So if really that has to happen, you have to have these real problems. You have to solve the problems through business models. So I believe that, at least I used to tell in the classes, maybe right from the first batch onwards, we used to tell that, maybe half of you are going to be the entrepreneurs. Right now in India, out of the total workforce we have, only 5% are entrepreneurs. But if you look at China, it is 35 to 40%. US and other countries, it's much higher. So you don't wait till you complete your degree course or a PG course or PhD. So come with ideas and discuss with your faculty. We have a good placement cell. Discuss with those people and discuss, these companies are coming here. And then you have good laboratories in IIST. We have an incubation cell. You just come with ideas and then talk to the people and get mature about that ideas right now itself. Don't wait till that, they have gone to ISRO and then quit from ISRO and then started these kind of things. So then start. They are all there to help you out. So thank you so much for actually, I know that we are not spending any penny. You all the way came here spending your own money and helping the students because you actually love your alma mater. So that's why you are here. We are so thankful to you on behalf of Director IIST and on behalf of Registrar IIST and on behalf of all the faculty and students of IIST. I wanted to thank you, but officially they'll thank. Mustafa came up with this idea for the Alumni Association. So Alumni Association is very strong right now. So we are actually in the process of getting into various activities. A lot of activities you can see very soon in IIST. So just get, like, use them. I suggest that you use them or exploit them. So you won't get such an opportunity like, two important people of SatSure is sitting with you, and then you won't get, other college students are not getting that opportunity. You please understand that. It's a very rare opportunity. Thank you so much for participating in this. Thank you.
If you have any questions to them, you can.
Yeah, please introduce other alumni also.
We have Ankita from the 2014-2018 aerospace batch. And I am from 2017 batch. If you have any questions. Thank you. And please give the feedback. It's a good.